Hey guys, it's Joel and welcome back to the channel. And today you join me in another car which I'm looking at as part of my sort of next daily series. If you're not subscribed to the channel and you're one of the 80% of viewers or so that do watch regularly and are still not subscribed, please do make sure to hit that subscribe button now, because as well as this very interesting car, there's going to be some other pretty interesting cars being featured on the channel very soon. So once you've done that and subscribed, we'll get straight into the video. Right then, so I'm pretty sure this thing is keyless, so pop them down there. We've got a big start button up there, which is orange. And press clutch to start. Here we go. All right. So, let's take this out on the road then. This is a car that I'm very interested to experience because, if I'm being totally honest, the Ford brand and Ford Fiestas and Focuses as a general, they're cars that I've prejudiced and never taken any interest in. But when I've said that to owners and people that I know who've driven them, they've always said, well, you need to drive one because they are great to drive. So it is about time I did exactly that. So let's get on the road now and see how this thing handles. So first things first, the owner, Ben, has told me to put it into sport mode for the best sort of experience. So I'll do that now. Apparently I'll press mode select button here, and then we've got sport has just come up in the middle. And let's just take a right here to a slightly faster bit of road and see how this thing sort of accelerates. It's at temperature. Let's just give it a little bit of a... It does pick up speed pretty well, I have to say. It feels actually a bit quicker than I was expecting, if I'm totally honest. I should really start by saying actually what we're in, because apart from the orange paintwork, you might be wondering what exactly the car is, and there's a load of sort of special orange accents all over the car as well. This is a Ford Fiesta ST, but it's a Performance Edition, one of apparently 600 made, so limited run Ford Fiesta essentially. And yeah, what does it come with? It comes with about 200 brake horsepower, or just under that. And obviously just basically all of the top spec that you would get on a new Ford Fiesta. It does sound pretty good actually, and the other thing I'm noticing immediately is genuinely how very incredibly sensitive the steering is. In a good way. It's extremely, very responsive actually, and I can see why the word nimble is used to describe these cars a lot. So this car is pretty much brand new. It was collected at the start of this year, although it's on a late 19 registration. And these are about £26,000 list, which makes it a lot cheaper than a brand new M240i, for example. But they're sitting around the same sort of price now as a used one. And what do you get with that money? Well, obviously you get the performance and this actually really nice handling. And actually, even in third gear there, under 4,000 RPM, it does pick up quite nicely. It's obviously got a fair bit of torque. So red line's at 6,500 RPM. I think 0 to 60 in this car is actually similar to my Z4, around the 6-second mark. But yeah, what I can't actually get over is genuinely how good the steering feels. It's actually taken a little bit of getting used to because it really is so sensitive. But I don't know, it already feels like quite a rewarding car to drive. So what have we got on the inside of this car then? Well, the steering wheel is actually very nice to hold and to use. I like the flat bottom here. And got a big infotainment screen up there on the left. Got a weird man with a camera in that tunnel. That's very concerning. And obviously this being the Performance Edition in orange, there's a load of orange accents here. The start-stop button is in orange. The speakers label is orange as well. And of course, a 6-speed manual down here. Now on initial impressions, I just can't. It shifts well, it goes into gear very nicely, the clutch feel is good, but the actual throw, I just don't find very satisfying and a little bit cumbersome. But when you do get it into gear and you start accelerating, it sounds great actually, and picks up speed, like I say, pretty well. By no means is this anywhere near as fast as that M240i, and as I have mentioned, I'm not really looking for a manual for my next daily, but I did want to try out a Fiesta just in case it was so good that I really would have to consider one. So yeah, as expected, quite high speed through the turns. It handles very, very well. Grips very, very well. This one is on Michelin Pilot Sport 4s, which is about as good tyre as you can get for this car. And at 60 miles an hour, it rides fairly quietly. It's a very stiff and firm ride, not uncomfortable at all. Obviously, I'm sitting in some pretty tight Recaro bucket seats, which are comfortable, and they obviously hold you in nicely through the corners. And I wouldn't expect this car to have anything other than something like that. But yeah, in terms of noise, it's actually pretty quiet. Obviously, when you get on it, you can hear that exhaust, and it's backfiring there quite nicely. But you know, high RPMs, you can hear that. But when you do just want to cruise and chill, it's actually pretty good at doing that, at least at 60 miles per hour. Let's put it into this tight left-hander then. Really grippy. Really grippy, actually. My Z4 would be starting to lose some grip at the rear there, so that is quite impressive. I was expecting a little bit of wheel spin from the front around that corner at around 50 miles per hour, but it did hold very, very well. So yeah, I'm really enjoying the way this thing feels in my hands, actually. It is very nimble. I can see why it is almost the ultimate hot hatch to just, you know, it's not too fast. I can floor it through every gear all the way to third before I'm breaking the law, and really enjoy everything that this car has to offer. And yeah, nimble definitely is the word, I have to say. It just, yeah, you can just throw around and play with it. So, gearbox, I'm still not, it's a good gearbox, don't get me wrong, but the feel of it just isn't really for me. I just don't enjoy using it, you know? In lots of cars that I drive, you're desperately finding an excuse to downshift or to sort of, you know, use the gears, but in this it doesn't really bother me. Even heel and towing this car, I'll try and demonstrate in a second, it's just not that satisfying. It's kind of hard to explain. But yeah, I like the orange accents. I love the steering wheel. The displays in front of me are pretty nice, sort of a screen in the middle there and then some analog dials. Reminds me a little bit of the Mustang I had in the States, actually. What I don't really like about this interior is it looks very low quality and feels pretty cheap as well. I mean, even here on the door, it's just hard plastic. You know, all these buttons, that it's a little bit cheap, and for 26 grand, although the seats are fantastic and really nice, I don't know, you just might expect a little bit more quality in here. But I know that this car isn't meant to be a luxury car by any stretch of the imagination. It is meant to be an enthusiast car, and certainly to drive, it does put a smile on your face, actually. As I started this video saying, you know, I prejudiced Ford Fiestas a little bit and just thought, well, they're boy racer cars, they're not even that fast, they're kind of ugly, in my opinion, and just a bit common. And all of those things, I guess I still sort of stand by, but having now been behind the wheel of one for a few minutes, I can start to understand what sort of brings owners to these cars and what, you know, makes them keep them and want to modify them, because it is a good amount of fun, actually. It really is. And obviously, if you can get one of these cars for about 25 grand brand new, it is a lot of car for the money. I'm sure in a few years' time on the used market, it needs to be well under 10 grand. Maybe not a few years, but you know, older Fiesta STs are that way now. And yeah, I can totally understand the appeal. But is it for me? I'm not so sure. Well, I mean, I'll be honest, no. I don't think it is for me. If this had an auto gearbox, well, I think that would be totally wrong. But I think, you know, it would be nice. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to go down the Fiesta route for my sort of daily. I think it is a little bit too rough, at least this Performance Edition. And you know, it's not too rough, but for what I want to use that daily for, I want it to be really comfortable. And you might be able to see in the corner of the camera here, is my Z4 has actually been driven past me by the owner, Ben, who is filming a video on his channel, which I'll leave a link to below, so you can check that out, see what he thinks about my car. Actually, I'm kind of interested. But yeah, I don't think this is really the way I want to go. Another sort of thing I want to say is that I don't think it is that big, but it feels like a big car. You've got this really long sort of dash and swooping windscreen. I mean, maybe it's trying to be a Lamborghini Aventador, but it's certainly not got quite the same effect. So there's a lot of dash in front of you before the bottom of the windscreen, and you know, these wide sort of doors. It actually feels quite big, and even looking in the rear view, it looks like the rear window is further back than I'm expecting. So although this is like a nimble hot hatch, and it feels nimble, it actually seems bigger than it is when you're in the cockpit here. But yeah, in terms of other mod cons, yeah, there's cruise control. Looks like we've got launch control and a few other modes on here, which I'm probably not going to play with today. And it's a nice place to sit. Sorry, I just think the sort of look of some of the plastics and the feel of it, apart from the seats, I think the seats look great. It's just a little bit, not really. It's not. I'm not like one of those people that's like, oh, you have to have a German car, but it isn't quite German build quality. I think that is fair to say. So, yeah, what else can I really talk about? I guess it is fun to drive. It really is fun to drive, and I think there's definitely a place in everyone's garage for something like this. I don't think it's the perfect daily for me, for sure. Although Ben Daly's his, and this would be no more difficult to daily than my Z4, which I've done for 3 years. If anything, it'd be a lot easier. So I think there is a place for one of these in everyone's garage. If you want a front-wheel drive, because you've got to bear in mind, 200 brake horsepower through the front wheels gives you a driving characteristic which is kind of unique. I do prefer rear-wheel drive, but there is, you know, I would definitely like, when I'm in the position to do so, to always have a front-wheel drive in my garage. I think, to be honest, I prefer the Abarth to this. The Abarth 695 Piposto, and actually a crazier Romeo Ferraris version I've driven, it feels a little bit more special. You know, there's carbon fibre everywhere. It does sound better. It's probably not any faster, but there's just something about that. And yeah, I do love a front-wheel drive car, and I think this is a fantastic one. I do really just want to get on it now and just thread it through these corners, because I think that is really where this car comes alive. But the problem with that for me is that it's just not an enjoyable car to cruise in. You know, like I say, I'm sitting here at 60 now. It's eating the road nicely, it's comfortable, it's fuel efficient, it will do about 50 miles per gallon quite easily. But I'm just not really having a great time driving it, and I guess you do stand out a little bit, at least in this Performance Edition, with that bright orange paintwork. But yeah, if you want a front-wheel drive car to just get on and rag absolutely everywhere, then this is definitely one for you to consider. And obviously, having prejudiced these in the past, I think now I will begin to take a second look at these cars. When I see someone driving one, I think, oh, you have no idea, you need a rear-wheel drive. I get it, I do get it. I can understand the appeal, like I said earlier, and the performance really is quite enjoyable. Like I say, you can use all of it all of the time, and yeah, it's good fun actually. It puts a smile on your face, but probably not the daily car that I want or need. So I hope that's been interesting, guys. I appreciate that, you know, I'm not a car reviewer, so I'm not gonna, this video is not filled in any shape or form with facts and figures and statistics. You can get those online if that's what you really want to know, but I just wanted to get a feel for myself on how this thing drives, whether I'd be wrong to dismiss one of these immediately for a next daily, and yeah, just really sort of reset my opinions on what I think about these cars. And I think it's been very eye-opening to drive this and actually see for myself that it is a lot of fun. So what I'll say now then, guys, is thank you so much for watching, of course. A big thanks to Ben for coming down today and allowing me the keys to his car for this short test drive. As I mentioned, he is currently filming a video with my Z4, so make sure you go over to his channel once you've finished this video and check out the video he's done with that. It should be live now, and make sure to go drop a like and subscribe over to Ben as well. So yeah, thanks guys for watching. Let me know as always below what you think of these cars, but also other cars you'd like me to test drive. I have to say though, at the moment, the M240i is number one. A45 should be coming up soon. I'll be very intrigued to drive that. But yeah, I think M240i is definitely the one I would take over this. Obviously very different cars entirely, but for me that's just a better all-round package for what I need. Let's just listen to this one more time. It does sound good actually, and it pulls very nicely. Probably about the same performance as my Z4. Anyway, before I get too carried away, I'm going to stop here now. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you very, very soon.